It's the Daily Dog.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug. Thanks for hanging out with me today on a Friday. Y'all, it has been a week. We have made it though. It is the end of the week. It's a Friday, and I believe that we deserve a little bit of a dance party. Friends, it's going to be a Masterpiece Friday, and I am bringing you some classic music from Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I am glad that you are with me. So, Earth, Wind, and Fire is one of the best-selling bands of all time. Y'all, they hail from Chicago, Illinois, and they are another one of these genre-defining and genre-busting bands. Their music includes sounds from jazz, R&B, soul, funk, disco, gospel, pop, Latin, soul, you name it. They kind of do everything. The band was founded by Maurice White, and he would serve as the group's main songwriter and producer, as well as the co-lead singer for many, many years. Sadly, he passed away in 2016. Earth, Wind, and Fire takes its name from three of the four primary elements. I wanted to read in a bit about this. They omit water of the four elements. And as far as I can tell, Maurice drew inspiration for the name from astrology and his own sign, which is Sagittarius, for the name. And that's about all I could find on that. Anyway, after moving to Los Angeles from Chicago in 1970, Maurice grew the band to 10 members, pretty large ensemble. And then they set about making their debut album, which was released in 1971. That album was a success, and the band were on their way. And we fast forward 50 plus years, and they're still around. And they've won multiple Grammys, American Music Awards. They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they've sold over 90 million albums. One of the great bands of the last several generations. So today we're first going to take a look at their classic song September, and this was released as a single in 1978. It also was included as a new song on the compilation album The Best of Earth, Wind, and Fire Volume 1. So as far as I can tell, I don't think this was ever on an actual album, like a studio album. It was a single created for this greatest hits release in the late 70s. And like many of their songs, it went to number one. It was number one on the R&B chart and on the Hot 100 chart. And like many songs that we've featured, especially this month, it's included in the Library of Congress's National Recording Registry, which is reserved for the best of the best. That we really want to preserve and have a record of. So, for this recording, Maurice White is on lead vocals. Philip Bailey is also on lead vocals and percussion. Verdine White is on bass and backing vocals. Johnny Graham on guitar. Al McKay on electric guitar and backing vocals. Larry Dunn on keyboards. Ralph Johnson on drums and percussion. Fred White also on drums. Romley Michael Davis and Michael Harris are both on the trumpet. Louis Satterfield is on the trombone. Andrew Woolfolk is on the saxophone. And Maurice White and Ali Willis co-wrote the tune. So let's go to it. I believe this is the official video from this, September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Off we go. You just can't not groove to this. So, wherever you are, friends, let your hair down a bit.
Do you remember when it first started? September, love was changing the minds, tender, while chasing the clouds away.
There's differing accounts of the meaning of the 21st night of December. I think it's near the equinox, not the solstice. But I think it was also a due date for one of Maurice's kids. kind of going in a sequential pattern with the chords. They're in A, but it's kind of like, then A suspended, right? Just kind of a little sequential pattern. B, E, C sharp to F sharp is what I hear in the main verse it's passing around. And I gotta mention it, y'all. If you've been watching my videos for a while, I don't think they stole my pants. I don't think I've ever considered buying pants that are quite that colorful. I'll let them wear their pants. And you got Philip's falsetto way up here and Maurice's baritone, and it's a great color for them. They've got the brass back there, they've got the congas. It's just, you can't not respond as a warm-blooded human, you know, just cutting a rug. You don't even have to be professional, you just gotta let it move. And it's gonna fade out. Just a classic tune. So I didn't know anything about Ali Willis. She would go on to co-write several tunes with Earth, Wind, and Fire, and she said this about the odd lyrics that are in this song. She says the kind of go-to phrase that Maurice used in a lot of songs that he wrote was "body ya." So right from the very beginning, he was singing "Body ya, say do you remember Body ya, dancing in September," right? And I said, we are going to change the "Body ya" to real words, right? And finally, when it was so obvious that he was not going to do that, I just said, what the fuck does "Body ya" mean? And he essentially said, who the fuck cares? and she says, I learned my greatest lesson ever in songwriting from Maurice, which was to never let the lyric get in the way of a good groove. And that's a great lesson to learn. Speaking of grooving, my friends, we go to another song that we can't not include. I'm going to go to Let's Groove, y'all. So this was their first single from Raise, which was their 11th album, released in 1981. At the time, now think about 1981, y'all, if you were alive back then. At the time, there was some pretty hard backlash to anything that resembled disco. But the band, I think, sort of threaded the needle with this tune. It's really slick. It's got a bit of that disco embedded in it, but it's also funky. It's got some synths, and it also has that robotic vocoder type voice, which adds to their sound. It kind of mixes with their classic big brassy sound. And Maurice, at the time, defended their transition into this sound for the 80s by saying that they knew their feelings, they knew their fundamentals, and they understood how to produce a hit song. And that's just what they did. So they were following their own artistic goals and their own instincts, and they kind of saying, you know, I know that the world is kind of saying boo on disco, but we're going to groove, y'all, so groove with us. Or just get left off the bus, right? So as I look into this one, there are dozens of musicians that lend their talents to this track, including the main band as well as an orchestra of strings, of brass, and of backing vocalists. So there's too many to name here, but it's a big effort, and I am ready to listen to Let's Groove from Earth, Wind, and Fire. Off we go. Quite a different sound, right? With that electronic vocoder. That's a similar progression. E, A, B to A, F sharp to B, right? I think they're in E Dorian for this, because that F sharp chord has a C sharp in it. Let this groove set in your shoes, so stand up. So you got Maurice's baritone down here, and then Philip up top, right? Too. It's so 80s. Love it. I was too young at the time to know what this was or even appreciate it. A goes to minor. Forgot how this worked. Got the vocoder back. It's just those notes. E to A, then F sharp to B. Then the main note of the riff starts on that D, the seventh of the key. Then F sharp to the end of that B. Right? Dance my own way. I don't think Maurice would care. I'm just going to add my own moves. Maybe the shoulder. It's just infectious. It's just infectious. And I can't imagine coming up with that song in 1981 as it's going to be the lead single, and everybody's like, boo disco and boo all that, uplifting stuff. We want punk. They're like, well, we're not a punk band, y'all. So just groove with us and it's going to be fine. And it was fine. It really, really was. I think that the great success of Earth, Wind, and Fire over these years is due to them simply just staying true to themselves. I found a quote from Maurice back in the late 70s when they were, at the height of their powers. And he talked about why he thought his band's music resonated with so many people. And he says this: I was simply writing about my life. And it's a great lesson. Write what you know, right? Write your own experiences. And if you are a naturally positive person and you've got a positive outlook and you want to spread joy and all that sort of stuff, then do what Maurice did and do your stuff. Even as the critics back in the day were souring on their sound, their message of peace, of spirituality, of love, as well as their colorful outfits and their very lively concerts. It simply drew people to them. People couldn't stay away, right? So the critics may have been critical of it, but you just couldn't stay away from their essence, from their vibe, you know? And, now they have nearly a dozen gold and platinum albums and a half century plus of a continuing legacy to show for all of their efforts. So I am really pumped and thankful to have the opportunity to lift up Earth, Wind, and Fire and these songs especially, and their entire career here in February as we're continuing to celebrate Black History Month on the channel, and how could we not leave out Earth, Wind, and Fire? A wonderful time on a Friday. I am ready to groove for the weekend. I hope y'all are as well. This was fun. Thanks y'all for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time on another edition of The Daily Doug.